the Chief Justice after the Public Prosecutor made a determination. Secondly, we will be addressing the issue of the Department of National Planning and Monitoring being subsumed into the National Monitoring and Coordination Authority. So to begin with, we will address the issue of the Ombudsman Commission, further referral of the Chief Justice. This will be to my right, flanked by Senior Statesman Honourable Karangakua, the member for Sinisina Yongumo. And to my left, we have the Deputy Opposition Leader, the Honourable Karangakua, will start with the Ombudsman Commission referral of the Chief Justice.
Good afternoon, everyone. The issue starting on the Ombudsman Commission and the Chief Justice is unprecedented in its nature. It's the first time the Office of the Chief Justice has been implicated in the way it has been with this initial referral to the Public Prosecutor back in March of this year. At the time the Parliament was sitting, and we in the opposition noticed the referral of the Chief Justice by the Ombudsman Commission to the Public Prosecutor. However, we refrained during the parliamentary sitting in March from asking the Attorney General for some explanation as to what is going on, because of two main reasons. Number one, we respected the independence of the Office of the Ombudsman Commission in its constitutional duties and functions, including the decision it took to refer the Chief Justice to the Public Prosecutor. And secondly, because we also respected the integrity of the Judiciary. So we refrained in March during the parliamentary sittings from making any comments, even though I must emphasize it was already a very important public interest matter. We refrain from commenting, either asking questions or debating the issue on the floor of Parliament, or even holding press conferences when it first arose in March. However, recently the Public Prosecutor has announced her decision on the matter, a decision which I would describe as a merit-based decision, because she evaluated the evidence and in her professional judgment came to the conclusion she did, and elected to decline to refer the Chief Justice to the Leadership Tribunal. Consequent upon that, the Chief Justice, the Ombudsman Commission, then opted to use other procedures to maybe describe it as a second shot at the Chief Justice, to refer him to the National Executive Council to have the National Executive Council review the evidence that was rejected by the Public Prosecutor, and hopefully make another decision to establish if there was merits in the evidence that was assembled and given to the NEC, then perhaps the NEC would hopefully make a decision to have another independent tribunal established to try the Chief Justice on those allegations. Now, what we want to make clear now is that those are constitutional processes. The Ombudsman Commission, who I've always complained about in the past for lack of action, has decided to take a number of actions recently, including the one against the Chief Justice at the moment. What differentiates the Office of the Chief Justice from every other leader is the fact that the Judiciary plays a very, very important role in holding the democracy of this country together since 1975. And we credit our survival as a vibrant democratic nation to the functionality of the judiciary and the integrity that has been attached to the judiciary over those 50 plus years that we have been here as an independent nation. So when we see things like this, where the leader of the judiciary is being referred in a very public way for prosecution for alleged offenses, it does become a matter of concern to us, not because we disagree with the merits, but because it is going to affect the integrity of the institution, the judiciary. And we in this country, we depend to a large degree on the integrity of the judiciary to hold this country together. And that has been done, given us our survival and sustainability for 50 plus years now. We're grateful for that, for the role that the judiciary has played. So what we're seeing here and we're living through now is unprecedented before. And what can we say? There's limited we can say because these are constitutional processes. The Ombudsman Commission is an independent organization, and how it performs its duties and functions must not be the subject of too much public debate and commentary. So we're going to make some very limited comments about this, and many of my colleagues also will refrain from making so many comments, as we usually want to do on any other public interest issue. We're not going to do that in this space because of the need to make sure that we don't scandalize in the process of trying to debate it, scandalize the officers, the leaders, and the institutions they represent. All that we want to say at the moment is we recognize also that the procedure for dealing with a Chief Justice, according to the Constitution, according to the organic law on the duties and responsibilities of leadership, is treated as a separate type of leader. And the procedures as to how you deal with the Chief Justice in questions of allegation of misconduct and in office is processed through a separate procedure, as distinguished from normal leaders like ourselves, departmental heads, people who are defined as leaders under the leadership code. What we want to do is to ask the Ombudsman Commission to be wary of the procedures and to apply the correct procedures, because the Chief Justice is like everyone else in one respect. We are all entitled to the protection of the law. The laws include procedural laws and substantive laws. So here, as to what the Ombudsman Commission chooses to do in terms of procedure, they must also realize that the Chief Justice on the other side has a right to fair treatment according to the properly established procedures. So in this situation here, it's not entirely clear about what sort of procedures the Chief Ombudsman, the Ombudsman Commission can adopt when trying to refer a Chief Justice of this country for processing before a leadership tribunal. So that's why we are saying that it's incumbent upon the Ombudsman Commission to tread carefully to make sure that they don't infringe upon the Chief Justice's rights, but to give him both procedural and substantive justice in the way they deal with him. And by doing that, they will maintain the public's trust and confidence in the processes and the actions and activities of the Ombudsman Commission, and at the same time that of the Chief Justice, and at the same time that of the judiciary. So it's a very delicate matter. We're not going to make too many comments about this. Safe to say that the people of this country are watching with concern these developments that have arisen between. And so we want to advise for some caution to be taken as to exactly how you deal with the Chief Justice in this matter, so that our belief, our faith in the judiciary and the work that it has been doing up to now is not shaken. We need to maintain that because the judiciary has been the pillar of justice and of holding all the elements of our democratic system together for a long, long time now. So we as leaders, for the time being, and citizens, we have a continuing obligation to make sure we help not only the Ombudsman Commission in its procedures, but also in protecting the integrity and the dignity of the judges, including the Chief Justice, and that of the judiciary at large. So that's all I can say. Now, as to how not the judiciary, not the Ombudsman Commission, but the government of the day handles questions of accountability and how all of this may have had an influence on the way this particular matter is tracking is a separate issue. And that we are free to comment, and we will. And our leaders, including our opposition leader and the deputy opposition leader here, are here, and they'll make whatever comment they feel is unnecessary. So that's the limited comment I will make. But this is a watching brief. This development is an important development in this country, and we maintain our observation status as this matter progresses. Thank you.
Thank you, Opposition Leader, and the Senior Statesman and Member for Citizen Yangumo, Honorable Kaningakua. I thank the media again also for giving us this audience. As the opposition, we have a duty to the Constitution and the duty to our people of Papua New Guinea to express matters of national interest. And what has been published in the daily newspaper by the Ombudsman Commission pertaining to the intention of the Ombudsman Commission to invoke residual powers of it has under Section 29(2) to seek, or rather to act in the case of the referral of the Chief Justice. I also echo the sentiments shared by Honorable Kua, and caution myself and caution the subject, which will tread on it with great caution. But there are some salient points that I think warrant a commentary or warrant a statement, and that is, the Office of the Public Prosecutor under the Constitution is an independent authority tasked with the duty to carry out prosecutions, amongst other things. Now, what has transpired is that the powers that are referred to in that notice are such that where the public prosecutor fails to act, or there is gross negligence on the part of the public prosecutor and therefore capitulates on a referral, then that residual power is invoked. In this instance, what is clear from the letter dated 8th of May, I believe, is that the acting public prosecutor has in fact acted and exhausted that constitutional duty. There seems to be a misconception or misunderstanding that the residual powers are available for what seems like an appeal, but there cannot be an appeal. And it is only in those two instances that power should be exercised. When it is exercised, it should be exercised sparingly, with great caution. When we are discussing this matter, what must also come to light for all of us to understand is the Office of the Chief Justice is a constitutional office also, an independent one. And so this is dangerous territory in a constitutional democracy, whereby the executive arm of the government is now invited to meddle into the issues concerning the Chief Justice or the person that holds the office of the Chief Justice. And so by this course, there is an apprehension of bias already. Forcing the Chief Justice to a leadership tribunal through the NEC, or the appointing authority, even after the public prosecutor has acted lawfully, should raise a question whether the Chief Justice or the NEC is not going to be intimidating, or, members of the judiciary. This is like the good member for Citizen Young Moose did say, it's new territory, uncharted waters, and we tread with great caution and care. Separation of powers. This goes to the heart of the constitutional principles of separation of powers. Yeah. By this nature, by invoking this route, we're already asking the executive arm to interfere with the judiciary, the other arm of the government. That these are very fundamental principles embedded in our Constitution. This is a dangerous day for the rule of law. It's a very sorry day for the rule of law. And so I'd like to make these comments lightly and just remind all stakeholders, the Ombudsman, the NEC, and the Judiciary. What is even more alarming and what is more concerning, if I may, is that to refer the head of the Judiciary to the NEC is to even have the Prime Minister preside over. And there are many cases that concerns members of Parliament, the Prime Minister, that are before the Judiciary. Where do we draw the line? How can this be? Where do we draw the line and respect the independence of these very important constitutional arms of government? So I can only say so much, and cannot add any more to what is glaringly already obvious to the at this juncture. But it is, like I said, it's dangerous territory and never been charted before. And so these are the greatest risks that the Constitution of our country faces in this instance. Not to be politicized either. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
About the scandal of NMCA being the same guy that was out in second public.
On another note, I noticed also recently the shifting of powers of the national planning, particularly in relation to the monitoring aspect of the Ministry for Department of National Planning and Monitoring, across to what I am now known as the National Monitoring and Coordination Authority. Now, that authority, under this new reform, would be dealing with the monitoring of public expenditure subsequent to planning. But what baffles me most is that one of the biggest programs that has been scandalous under this government has been the Connect PNG program. Now, the person heading the NMCA was one of the same secretary who implemented integrally the Connect PNG program. So how can the gatekeeper or the person in the gate be standing outside the gate with the keys again to monitor their own actions? Is that should be a matter for concern. What is going on? What is the utilities of the independence of even that monitoring, that the watchdog being the person watched? I think I should everyone should ask these questions. Where are we heading as a country? What is the administration or the executive arm doing? These reforms, whilst they may be welcome, perhaps we should again tread with great caution. We also have an administrative audit report that is still outstanding. When will this report be tabled or brought to the fore for the Connect PNG program? It's now almost over a year. Still nothing has been commented or said about it. So it'll be interesting to see how these various interventions culminate to. Thank you.
Thank you, the Deputy Opposition Leader and the Honourable Karen Gukwa, member for SSY, Sinisini Yongumo. Well, just to add on to the issue of the Department of National Planning and Monitoring being subsumed into the National Monitoring and Coordination Authority, NMCA, this raises a lot of serious questions, specifically because the Department of National Planning and Monitoring is there because of legislation enacted on the floor of Parliament. It has legal mandate for its existence. NMCA is just a product of a policy decision, and it's a division within the Prime Minister's department. So the concerns raised by the Deputy Opposition Leader it goes to the heart of why we're having so many issues throughout the country. If the decision-making to appoint certain people to be heads of authorities, government agencies and departments are not based on meritocracy and are based on nepotism, tribalism, wantokism, where we are being preferential and selective to one group of people because of personal relationships over those that are more qualified to be in a position, we will continue to compromise integrity, and then we will continue to erode the standards of governance and accountability. Now, this is clearly what we're seeing throughout all the departments, and what's really alarming is that this is what we're also seeing in the constitutional offices that should maintain their integrity and their independence to give confidence to the public. So, with respect to the Department of National Planning and Monitoring, this is the department that is charged with the development agenda of the country. It's the department that carries and manages the implementation of the capital investment budget every year. So you have Treasury that takes care of all recurrent expenses throughout the country, and you have the Department of National Planning and Monitoring that is responsible for investments throughout the country, whether it's in infrastructure, it's in agriculture, it's in human capital, it's in tourism. This is the department with its think tank of economists, with all that institutional knowledge, with all that experience that are charged with making sure that we achieve key milestones in MTDP 4, Medium-Term Development Plan 4, to ensure that we're on the right path towards achieving Vision 2050 goals and objectives that were clearly laid out by the Grand Chief, Sir Michael Sumara himself. And when the Prime Minister starts to slice and dice, swap, and makes these decisions by whim to say, I'm going to do this here, I'm going to take planning out, I'm going to put it over there, he forgets this tried principle of effective management. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Now, planning's not broken. And planning can't be the scapegoat for all the issues that the country is currently experiencing. Now, Peter Drucker, a management guru, clearly stated that the only bottleneck in a bottle is at the top. The same applies here. Leadership failure from the very top, beginning with the Prime Minister, have created this litany of crises that the country is currently going through. And this is reflected in the poor budget execution that's being experienced by all the agencies. And the opposition's already called out the lack of election preparedness. The Electoral Commission hasn't received funds. Police haven't received funds. The PNGDF is in a total mess. They should go down and check whether we have running water down at Tarama Barracks, the state of affairs at the barracks. And then all of a sudden, outside of the mandate of the PNGDF, they make a decision to invest 20 mil into a government bank. What is this madness in plain sight?
A failed bank.
It's a failed bank. So the questions that the opposition raises, are we really serious about getting off FATF grey list? Mm-hmm. Or are we on the road to becoming blacklisted because of total non-compliance and this lackadaisical attitude towards something that affects investor confidence? We haven't got Papua LNG off the ground. We haven't got Pyongyang off the ground. Where's Wafi Golpu? It's not off the ground. These are pipe dreams, pie in the sky, because of failed leadership, and we're not serious about reform. That's why the opposition is calling for the government to not meddle with the Department of National Planning and Monitoring, allow it to effectively implement the capital investment budget for the country, which constitutes about 10 billion kina, allow it to be the department that's responsible for the tax credit scheme and equitably distribute throughout the whole country, rather than to just one region and one group of companies. Dare I say who, but this is why public perception matters. And coming back to something that is so sensitive, as alluded to the Honourable Karen Gakoa, Deputy Opposition Leader, is the issue of the Ombudsman Commission and its second referral just of the Chief Justice. We've got to tread very, very softly, carefully. These are very, very sensitive issues. The public prosecutor, in the public interest, has made a decision and determination that there was no case for the Chief Justice to be answered to. So he's already faced the public prosecutor. So the Ombudsman Commission should also be very, very cognizant of public perception and how it looks when just in a matter of hours he releases a press statement to say that this is what we're going to do. The NEC and all the ministers in the NEC can concur with this statement. You are in absolutely no position to make any decision about what happens to the Chief Justice. So we've got to just stop this erosion of accountability and maintain the separation of power, respect the judiciary. And the opposition has already called on the public prosecutor to immediately take this matter to court and then confirm whether the Ombudsman Commission really does have the power to review what the public prosecutor has already done. Otherwise, we'll be going around in circles. So without saying too much, with respect to the judiciary and also respecting the independence and integrity of the Ombudsman Commission, this is what the opposition has called for the public prosecutor to take corrective action on this matter as we continue to respect the Constitution. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our press conference for this afternoon pertaining to the two issues. And we'll just have one more comment here from Honourable Leader, Honourable Karen Gakoa, and then we can take some of your questions.
Yes, so concerning the second referral of the Chief Justice, those of us in the opposition, when the Chief Justice was referred from the Office of the Ombudsman Commission to the Public Prosecutor, in the first instance, we respected that. We saw that as process taking its course, constitutional process taking its course. We made no comment. We respected the process taking its course because we understand that everybody is accountable in law. So if there is any issues with the Chief Justice, of course, you invoke the proper processes of the law and the process will take care of that matter. We refrained from making any comments at that time. However, now we are coming out now because they've referred him, they're taking a second shot at referring him. This is where we feel that we must now express some degree of concern about the legitimacy of this second referral. Is this the right thing to do by procedural law? Because the Chief Justice, like everybody else, as I said earlier, is entitled to the protection of the law. So is this second shot at him a correct procedure to take when, in the circumstances where the public prosecutor has acted speedily on the first referral, she hasn't delayed it, she hasn't procrastinated, she has reviewed the evidence, and she has made a decision based on merits. So what the public prosecutor has said is a professional judgment that's been made. Now, in those circumstances, the question arises as to whether there is any so-called reserve power in the hands of the Ombudsman to subject the Chief Justice through another process again. Question is, the procedure that they are now resorting to for the second time, was that available in the first instance? And were they both available at the same time? Should the referral be to the public prosecutor or to the NEC? And the Ombudsman Commission had to make an election, because once an election is made, you got to accept that decision that's been made, and that's the end of the matter. So these are legitimate questions that have arisen, and this is not the last time that we will have a Chief Justice in this country. We're going to have many, many more Chief Justices coming up in the future. How are they going to be treated? How we treat this Chief Justice now will have an impact on future Chief Justices, whether it's going to vouch for their independence of duties and functions. Those are the questions. So we have to raise some of those hard questions now. Without dwelling too much into details, we need to ask whether the current Chief Justice is being treated fairly under procedural laws of this country. Constitutional procedural laws of this country, not the substantive, but the procedures. Because this is a case where he's been referred yet again for the second time, and that's where we believe that it affects the institution of the Chief Justice, institution of the Judiciary. So we raise this alarm so that we must all be aware, not destroy the things that we set up, the institutions that are there to look after us. We must look after those institutions, we protect them, and in turn they will be productive, effective, efficient, and they will look after us. So it's the second referral that raises a lot of questions, and we ask those concerned, especially the Ombudsman Commission, to tread with care. Yeah. So that's all, the only additional comment that I want to make. We're only coming out because this is the second referral. In the first, we kept quiet. Yeah. But this is the second, so we feel that we need to say something, so avoid abuses. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, any questions? Yep.
Firstly, we received word that the PNG Games has been cancelled. Over 50 million has been responded for this particular event. What's your take on that?
Did they also admit that they squandered the 50 million when they said that the Games was cancelled?
Well, they've been accused of misusing all these funds. So the game has been hearing that the Sports Foundation will be making an announcement soon to cancel the games for the games in Southern Hemisphere.
For the PNG Games. Do you have anything? There you
I'm
go.
not aware of those details.
Yes. Did they? We're not really aware that the PNG Games have been cancelled, and this also comes back to the lack of reporting and transparency of public monies by the government. They've dropped the ball with respect to compliance with the Public Finance Management Act, and also telling the country how the budget implementation is tracking. So overall, we have hospitals that haven't received funds for medicine. We have educational institutions that haven't received funds. Members of the opposition have not received funds, and we, on record, would like to thank the Finance Minister for his undertaking from our meeting last week that they are prioritizing funding to districts and provinces for opposition MPs, government MPs, and also to agencies. So we look forward to that coming to fruition. But the fact that they cancel games is also symptomatic of poor budget execution and budget management, because you're running out of funds. There's no proper planning. There's no coordination. There's no transparency, and there's a deterioration of governance because of failed leadership. So when the people are not aware of X amount of funding for an event, then it's easy for these things to just slip through the cracks. And 50 million is a lot of money. So we also call for the government to come out clear and just advise the people of Papua New Guinea how that money was spent and why the games have been cancelled. You know. So thank you.
We can expect more of these things to happen in the future, because in this country the system of accountability has basically disappeared. So people know that you can commit the most gross crimes and you won't be held accountable. So that's simply an example of what can happen. If you don't hold people accountable, they'll continue to do that. And we've had so much misappropriations, misapplications of public funds in the last 7 years, 8 years. How many people have been held accountable? Because of the lack of accountability, we can expect more of this to happen. So this is one, but tomorrow you will have another one, where you lose another 50 million, 100 million, 200 million there, 500 million over there. That's going to continue to happen. One thing we have to emphasize that the government must do is to have a clear commitment to accountability. All the people who have the responsibility of administering public funds must be held to account for whatever they are spending on behalf of the people. And there must be clear evidence of value for every kina spent. Clear evidence. But right now, because we've collapsed all the systems of accountability, people are behaving with impunity, and this kind of loss of public funds will continue to happen. We won't bring it under control. You can only achieve that one day when you establish a strong system of accountability. Right now, it's totally collapsed, and we've been calling for it, from the police. We've been calling for it from the Ombudsman Commission, from ICAC, from every other Auditor General's office, every other office that is responsible for holding people accountable for their actions and for the expenditures, etc., has fallen behind on deaf ears. So, I see no hope of us putting an end to it unless we improve our systems of law enforcement and accountability. This will continue to happen. So that's the way I feel at the moment.
Any other questions?
So just one more. We've also received information that the PDDF investigation was ended last week Thursday. Prime Minister told us to announce it on a press conference last week, but he failed to do. Are you aware of this?
No, we're not aware of the outcome of the internal investigation into the Papua New Guinea Defence Force recruitment scandal. We call for compliance with the Defence Force Act to have a General Board of Inquiry set up that involves retired generals to come and oversee and review the issues. But the Prime Minister opted to conduct an internal investigation. We've also demanded that the Prime Minister come out clear and appoint a new Defence Force Minister to take charge of the Defence Force as we prepare and plan to go into the 2027 national general elections. And to date, the Prime Minister's silence is a cause for concern, and we haven't received any update on the outcome of the inquiry, and we will also be following up to find out what the findings were with respect to that. We feel that what's happened and transpired in the Papua New Guinea Defence Force as of late is really serious politicization of a disciplinary force that is charged with the national maintaining the national sovereignty of the country, and that is so important to the country, and it's really a cause for concern because of the role that PNG Defence Force will play in the elections and how they have been politicized. So we will be pushing to find out what the outcome of that inquiry is. Thank you. Is there any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
On the topic of independent constitutional officers in the country, the Electoral Commission still doesn't have a permanent Electoral Commission been appointed just 12 months to go for the next election. As per the organic law on national and local level governments, the opposition leader and deputy opposition leader, you as also part of the appointing committee, has the Prime Minister as the chair of the committee called for a meeting to appoint the new Electoral Commission?
We're still waiting for that meeting, but it hasn't happened yet. So we will also be following up this week to speed up that meeting, so a permanent electoral commissioner can be appointed to start to plan and prepare for the national general elections in 2027. So yes. Any other questions from anybody? That's it? All right. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Thank you.
Get through.
Please, there's some